Namaskar, welcome to my desk. Today we are going to discuss about translocation of substances in the plant body. In the plant body, there are two translocatory mechanisms or pathways. Movement of substance in the plant body take place, one by the translocation of water pathway and the other is translocation of solute pathway. In the plant body, there is no circulatory mechanism like that of animals where heart circulate everything with the help of blood. But in the plant body, the water from the root moves upward, that is the translocation of water pathway, and from the leaves the solute or the water dissolved with the nutrient material that the plant synthesize go to different part of plant, that is translocation of solute. The translocation of water is important. From the root, the water is absorbed in the root, and from the root, the water moves to different part of the plant up to the leaves and the apex of the plant. This is called ascent of sap or translocation of water. Ascent means upward movement, sap means water, because that water which is absorbed in the root contains different mineral substances which are the raw material for the synthesis of food by the plants. The other pathway is translocation of solute. In the leaves of the plant, photosynthetic material as well as other food material are synthesized. Those substances get dissolved in water, and that water or with the food substance move to different part of the plant body, that is called translocation of solute. Translocation of solute carries sugar as well as nitrogenous substances to different part of the plant from leaves. Let us see what are the pathways. The tissues involved in the translocation of water is xylem. The translocation of water, as I have already mentioned, is from roots to different part of organ by upward movement. And the tissue involved with the translocation of solute is phloem. So before going into detail about the translocation pathways, let us see what the tissues are. First of all, let us discuss xylem. The xylem has four types of cell: tracheids, trachea, xylem fibers or wood fibers, and xylem parenchyma. Of these cells, the xylem parenchyma are living. Xylem parenchyma are living, not only living, but it also helps in the movement of water in the tracheids and trachea. These tracheids and trachea are the main vessels or the main pipes through which the water movement take place. And xylem fibers give the strength, mechanical strength to the system. Actually, tracheids and trachea are very much important tissue, as development of these cells or these structures lead the plants in terrestrial habit. Let us see the structure of tracheids and trachea. If we see the tracheids, they are dead cells. They are pointed at the ends. If you can see, the ends are pointed. They have large lumen or the central cavity, which is large, round, and it may be polyangular. Here in the diagram, only the half of the trachea is visible. The whole body of the trachea is pitted. Pitted means there are different types of holes. And one significant structure of the tracheids is the bordered pit. Bordered pit, what is a bordered pit? It is a hole or pit in the trachea body where deposition or outgrowth from the side of the wall covers the hole in such a way that it appears like a hole or the cavity. That is called bordered pit. Cavity with a border or bordered pit. These tracheids develop from procambium in the primary xylem and from cambium in the secondary xylem. These tracheids are very significant in the plant body because their development also actually initiated the land movement of plants. They are found in pteridophytes, gymnosperm as well as angiosperm. These tracheids are main conducting tissue. Another main conducting tissue is trachea or vessel. The difference between tracheid and the trachea is that in the tracheid the ends are pointed and not open, but in trachea the ends are blunt and the end of the cell is open or perforated. They are also dead cell. Their ends are perforated, as I have already mentioned. They have larger lumen or the central canal than the tracheids. They may be having simple or multiple perforated wall. The wall has different type of deposition in different patterns. The pattern may be pitted, may be spiral, may be annular or round, may be reticulate, net-like. They are very much significant in the evolutionary point of view because trachea is a significant step in development of angiosperm. Trachea is found in angiosperms only, except the most evolved gymnosperm natum, and in the some primitive angiosperm like Rannells or Magnolias we do not find trachea. So trachea is an advanced character. It is more like a pipe than the tracheids. It also developed from procambium in primary xylem and from cambium in the secondary xylem. Let us see how this trachea develops, and it is the most evolved one. Here you will see that first the cells are small, they are living, gradually the cell expand and cell deposition, stepwise the cell deposition takes place in the inner wall of the cell. While the cell deposition is taking place, the amount of cytoplasm gradually reduces, and finally the even nucleus is eliminated and the passage between the cells become a continuous passage and the trachea is developed. Let us see the other two cells of the xylem. Xylem fibers and xylem parenchyma. The xylem fibers are of two types, libriform fibers and fiber tracheids. What is the difference? In the libriform fiber, they are a little bit shorter and the lumen or the central canal is very small because of high deposition of tissue on the wall. This deposition make it like a fiber and very less conduction take place or no conduction take place through libriform fiber. Fiber tracheids appear like tracheids, but due to high deposition it becomes very narrow and instead of conduction it acts like mechanical support, so it is called fiber. The fourth most member of the xylem is xylem parenchyma. It is the living cells, and many scientists believe that although the conduction of water takes place in the tracheids and trachea, the xylem parenchyma has a significant role in the movement of water through these canals, especially the continuous movement of water, and the air bubbles that enter these lumens of tracheids and trachea are adjusted by the xylem parenchyma. They are also named two-way axillary parenchyma, axial parenchyma and ray parenchyma on the basis of their position in the plant body. If it is vertical, then we call it axial parenchyma, that is along with the axis, and if it is horizontal, we call them ray parenchyma. Let us see the phloems. Phloem also has four types of element: sieve elements, companion cell, phloem fibers, and parenchyma, phloem parenchyma. Sieve elements are of two types: sieve cells and sieve tubes. When they are short, we call them sieve cells. When they are long, we call them sieve tubes. Companion cells and phloem parenchyma. These three cells are living, whereas in xylem, three cells were non-living. Only one type of cell was living. Here, phloem fiber or bast fibers are non-living cells. Let us see the structure of phloem. If you see the diagram, the middle one is sieve tube. That sieve tube has cytoplasm, but it doesn't have nucleus. So, sieve tube is a living cell, but when it matures, the nucleus dies or it becomes almost rudimentary. That's why it is living but without any nuclear control. The cells near the sieve tubes are called companion cell. They are like sieve tubes. They have cytoplasm. They have nucleus. Whereas in sieve tube there is no nucleus. Near them, phloem parenchyma cells are there. They are also living cells but smaller than companion cells and very much active, and physiologically they are doing very much active in terms of respiration and other activities. The end of the sieve tubes are perforated or net-like. We call them sieve plates. From another angle, the sieve plates look like net. The sieve tube portion looks like a hollow, and the companion cells are along with this sieve elements. In the phloem, the cytoplasm arrangement makes different types of passages between the phloem cells or sieve elements. One is sieve plate. In the sieve plate, the cytoplasm is over the connections between the cells. In the sieve pore, cytoplasm is very much there in both the cells, nearby cells, but the passages between the cells are open. In some cells, network of filaments are present between the passage, and in some other transcellular strands are present. From this discussion, what we have come to know? We have come to know that xylem have four types of cells: trachees, trachea, fibers, and xylem parenchyma. Phloem also have four types of cells: sieve tubes, phloem parenchyma, companion cells, and phloem fibers. In xylem, all are dead cell except the xylem parenchyma. In phloem, all are living cells except the phloem fibers. Now, what we can come to conclusion? In the xylem, the cells are more strongly deposited, so the cells are stronger. In phloem, the deposition is less, so they are less stronger. In the xylem, there is no cytoplasm. Most of the cells are non-living, especially the conducting cells, that is tracheids and trachea, are non-living. So there is less barrier in the movement of water through the xylem. But in the phloem, there is more barrier because the cytoplasm is there. Although in the sieve tubes, the nucleus is not there or rudimentary, but cytoplasm is very much there. If cytoplasm is there, obviously osmotic regulation will be there, so there will be more barrier of movement of solute through the phloem. Another thing is, in the xylem, the water is absorbed in the root and it moves upward, so it is unidirectional. Root is always in the ground, from there it moves upward. But the phloem, it is multidirectional. How? Because The solutes are created in well-developed leaves. In the leaves, photosynthesis take place and other metabolic activities also take place. From these leaves, the food must go towards the apex, to the growing apex or the apical leaves, apical meristem, where growth is taking place. It must also go to the flowers, to fruits, to storage organ, to the roots, to different parts. So there is a multi-directional movement in the phloem, whereas in xylem it was unidirectional, from the lower to upward. Here comes another concept. So far we have discussed about the elements or the tissue where the conduction take place, where the translocation of the substance take place in the plant body. There comes the concept of apoplast and symplast. This was given by Moons in 1930. What is apoplast? What is symplast? According to that scientist, apoplast is the non-living part of the plant body or tissue, and symplast is the living part of the tissue. So the cell wall, which is a part of the cell but which is not living, is the apoplast, but the cytoplasm inside and the cell membrane which is living is a symplast. According to Moons, the movement of substance take place both in apoplast as well as in symplast. What is the difference in activity of this apoplast and symplast then? In the apoplast, there is no barrier of plasma lemma because there is a dead part. But in symplast, there will be barrier of plasma lemma. When there is plasma membrane, obviously there will be osmotic connections involved, or there will be regulatory system of entry and exit of substance. So there will be barrier. In the apoplast, there is no connection of plasmodesmata, but in the symplast we find the plasmodesmata. So here we have come across a new term, plasmodesmata. We will see to it in the next slide. But before that, let us see how this apoplast and symplast is involved with our xylem and phloem. In the apoplast, xylem is purely apoplastic because there is no living system. Tracheids and trachea both are non-living and the conduction take place mainly there. So main movement is by apoplast. In the phloem also, by the wall of the phloem cells, that is sieve tube and companion cell, little bit of movement of substance take place. So there also little bit of apoplastic movement. Ascent of sap or translocation of water and mineral take place mainly by the xylem, and that is apoplastic, and some part of translocation of solute by the wall of the sieve element is also apoplastic. In the symplastic system, the phloem and the living cells sow it. To the sieve elements of the phloem, translocation of solutes take place, and that is purely symplastic because cytoplasm is very much there. Also, the lateral or transverse movement of water between the cortical cells or in the transverse direction of the plant body take place by osmotic regulation. That is also symplastic movement. Now let us discuss plasmodesmata that we have come across. What is plasmodesmata? Plasmodesmata is the connection between two living cells. Endoplasmic reticulum of one cell moves to the other cell, or there is connection of endoplasmic reticulum between the nearby cells. This actually makes the cells multicellular, or these connections are very important for conduction of masses from one cell to another. Endoplasmic reticulum originates in the nuclear pore. So it is a connection between the cells main central organizing or central controlling system. If we see the endoplasmic reticulum passing through the passage of from one cell to another, we call it plasmodesmata connections. And if we see the structure of the plasmodesmata connection, then we will see that at the end there is little bit narrow portion, we call it neck. The central portion between the cell walls is little bit hollow, we call it central cavity. There is a rod-like structure of microfibril in the center passing from one cell to another, we call it central rod. And in the central rod there are some microfibrillar structure, we call them desmotubules. So that is plasmodesmata. It is nothing but the connection between two different cells. Now let us see how the translocation of substance by apoplastic and symplastic movement take place in the plant. As we have already discussed, there are two translocatory mechanisms in the plant. One is water pathway and other is solute pathway. In the water pathway, that is in the xylem, from root to different parts, upper parts, first from the soil, symplastically it enters the root hair, then symplast and apoplastically it goes to the cortical cells, then symplastically and apoplastically it goes to bundle cells, then to the root xylem, then to the upward movement through xylem. Let us see it in bigger structure. Here root hair is living, cytoplasm is there, so obviously the water will enter as symplastic movement. Then from the root hair to the cortical cell, by osmotic regulation as well as to the cell wall, water moves, so it is symplastic as well as apoplastic. In this way, both by symplastic and apoplastic way, the water moves from one cortical cell to another cortical cell. You just follow the arrow marks there, and finally it reaches the xylem, crossing the endodermis. The endodermis is living, but after that the xylem is non-living. When it is pushed into the xylem, it is apoplastic because xylem there is no cytoplasm, and in the xylem it moves through the dead cell, it is apoplastic. So the movement of water is in the beginning symplastic, but later on it is mostly apoplastic, or the combination of apoplast and symplast. Now the pathway of solute. Solute is synthesized in the leaf. In the mesophyll cells of photosynthesizing leaf, by photosynthesis, fructose is synthesized. This fructose by symplastic as well as apoplastic way moves to the leaf bundle seed. There the fructose get converted into sucrose disaccharide plus a carrier. The carrier get attached to the sucrose. Then that sucrose along with its sucrose carrier move to the sieve tube, again by symplastic mainly and little bit of apoplastic movement. Then by symplastic as well as apoplastic movement, the whole substance gets circulated over the different parts of the plant body by sieve tubes. Therefore, the symplastic way with little bit of apoplastic way, the solutes move in the phloem. There are various theories to describe root translocation of substance through these routes, that is the water supply route and solute supply route of the plant, both by symplastic as well as apoplastic way. In our next session, we will try to discuss about the different theories involved with the translocation of substance in the xylem as well as in the phloem. Thank you for your patience hearing. We wind up for the session today.